Our top story, well, fresh details are emerging on the terror attack in Pulwama, which is now being investigated by the National Investigating Agency. Eyewitnesses have told investigators that the Pulwama terrorist Aadil was driving a red EECO car. The escort's car in the convoy asked the red vehicle to stop, move away from the convoy, but he kept moving, or driving rather, towards them. Sources also say that the terrorist hit the bus after 2 or 3 attempts before finally slamming the bus. He was following the convoy from Jammu. Reports also say he had done at least 3 recce's in the past before actually conducting this attack. Now, sources are also telling Wion that Pakistan terrorists are obviously responsible for this Pulwama attack, so therefore Aadil was not working alone and have been identified as Rashid, Ghazi and Kamran. They are the main commanders of the terror group Jaish-e-Mohammed, and both are believed to be in and around Tral. They are the men who trained the attacker Aadil for the terrorist attack. Sources also say that Ghazi is said to have fought in Afghanistan. He was handpicked by the Jaish-e-Mohammed chief Masood Azhar. The motive of the attack was to avenge the death of Masood Azhar's nephews. Ghazi is believed to be an IED expert. Our Srinagar correspondent Ishan Wani has more details.
Well, yes, sources are indicating to us that Abdul Rashid Ghazi, who had entered Kashmir Valley in December, and he was the brain behind this particular attack. That's what the sources have told Wion. They are saying that apart from Ghazi, he was accompanied by 2 other people who came and infiltrated into the Indian side from the line of control and was residing in Pulwama. Remember, in that month only, Jaish-e-Mohammed released a picture of Ghazi saying that he is someone who has fought in Afghanistan and was a war veteran. After which the forces had launched a manhunt to nab him down, because he's someone who is an expert in making an IEDs, because locally you wouldn't see people who can make IEDs. So he is the person and the brain that the security forces believe is behind this particular big attack. Remember, he has been, so according to sources, he was handpicked by Jaish-e-Mohammed chief Masood Azhar to carry out this particular attack in the South Kashmir after his 2 nephews were killed in different gun battles in Kashmir Valley. Now remember, this had alerted security agencies soon after his report emerging that he had come and made his base in Pulwama district, where he was tasked to train all these local militants, because they are not able to cross across from the line of control.
Meanwhile, Wion has also been provided with exclusive details of the attack on the CRPF convoy. Other than this, now firstly, Jaish-e-Mohammed is the group behind this attack, has been using fresh recruits in suicide blasts recently. This because fresh recruits have fewer chances of coming under the intel radar. The suicide bomber Ahmed Dar was a C-grade terrorist. Now the use of a local car and a local terrorist shows that Jaish-e-Mohammed has increasingly use local resources. Now, the Jaish-e-Mohammed had declared February as a month of the Jaish, hence the call for a strike. And another aspect is that the Kashmir Valley is under the radar of this Pakistani group. The key conspirator of the Pulwama attack, Aadil Urf Hashim, has been traced to Tral in Kashmir. The Jaish-e-Mohammed has been planning another suicide blast, we believe, in Kashmir. Sources say that a suicide bomber identified as this person, Hashim, is planning to enter Jammu and Kashmir via Punjab in Pakistan. Let's now come to the kind of explosives that were used in this deadly attack against the security forces in Jammu and Kashmir. The initial probe indicates that the use of RDX, forces have had curbed the circulation of RDX in the valley. This means that the explosives came from across the border. Meanwhile, the Army's independent assessment showed that ammonium nitrate was also most likely used in this attack. And joining us to talk a little bit more about what's unfolded in Pulwama in the last 2 days is retired Lieutenant General Syed Ata Hasnain, who's joining us for more on this, and he has also commanded the army in Jammu and Kashmir. Lieutenant General Hasnain, thanks very much for talking to us this evening. We just read out a lot of the details of what the intelligence agencies have already found out. How would you react to the fact that the Jaish-e-Mohammed was using local recruits, had conducted multiple recce's before this day, and this particular car that rammed into the convoy actually tried to ram multiple times before the blast took place? Could he not have been shot? There are many possibilities of what could have happened, but what is your take on this?
Thank you. You've got a range of very interesting questions which you have put to me. Let me start by saying that the re-entry of IEDs and possible car bombs into the Kashmir Valley was something which was anticipated for the last 1.5 years. Let me explain why. The last time that we had a major IED attack in Kashmir was on 20th of July 2008. And the last time we had a major car bomb attack was as far back as 2004. Thereafter, the threat of IEDs and car bombs somehow vanished. But however, in the intervening period since 2008 to now, you've had a series of such events related to explosives, improvised explosives in Syria, Iraq, Afghanistan and Pakistan. And obviously, the handlers and the sponsors in Pakistan were examining the possibility of bringing this entire thing back to the valley because of the strength of terrorists having reduced and the relative freedom of movement that the armed forces or the security forces in India were enjoying. Obviously, the moment the IED comes in, the moment there's a car bomb threat which is there, the relative freedom of action is curbed. And that is the whole concept behind this re-entry. The issues which you have raised besides that, yes, go ahead, please.
No, sir, go ahead. What were you saying about, of course, the ramming of the car?
This aspect of the convoy, let me tell you, we have almost about 10 to 12 major convoys which run in Kashmir. Besides, there are two of them which go down to Jammu, Srinagar to Jammu, Jammu to Srinagar. The army convoys, then you have a CRPF convoy, and then you have a BSF convoy. So there are 4 such convoys, almost 6 such convoys which are on the Jammu Srinagar route. They are usually with long convoys. The army's convoys are very long. But this particular convoy was extremely long because the road had opened after a long time because of the snow obstacle. And because there were a large number of personnel, 2,500 almost, who had been stuck in the transit camps. So this was just a contingency that it was such a long convoy. Now the aspect of preparing a suicide bomber, obviously bringing someone from outside, training him, preparing him, keeping him here would always be much more difficult. It is easier to bring an IED doctor. This Ghazi is essentially an IED doctor. He's an expert in that. It is easier to bring him in, infiltrate him in, keep him in some hideout and under wraps, and he's the one who prepares that entire thing. Explosive probably has come in externally from either the Jammu border or somewhere along the LOC. I suspect it's more from the Jammu border. And then it taken a period of time before the fabrication of the car bomb has taken place. It's not easy fabricating a bomb with 350 kgs of explosive.
But sir, to my specific question about how the car went undetected, for the fact that it made 3 recce's, and the fact that isn't the protocol that if a car is trying to ram into a convoy, wouldn't the first option be to shoot at sight when it's a security concern, especially in a state like Jammu and Kashmir?
Very, very interesting question. Now you have to understand what is the security which is given to a convoy. There are 2 ways of securing a convoy. The first is the static security on the road itself. It is called the ROP, or the road opening parties, who are static there. There are soldiers at every, say, about 500 meters, 300 to 500 meters. Besides that, in the body of the convoy, interspersed between 10 to 12 vehicles, there is a vehicle dedicated to security. It's a light vehicle, or it could be a slightly heavier vehicle with 4 to 5, 6 personnel, a light machine gun or automatic, which will always be there. Now, when this vehicle was detected following the convoy in this manner, obviously there has been a lack of suspicion, insufficient training, the lack of observation on suspicious movement. And that is what has allowed this vehicle to come so close. And the fact that it has tried to ram the vehicle, the bus, and no one has taken a shot at it, the simple reason are two reasons. Number one, mostly personnel in the bus are unarmed. And the second is that the security provided to that segment of the convoy is by another vehicle. If that vehicle is not in the vicinity of the bus, then this a suicide bomber or a suicide vehicle of this kind will get away easily and be able to do this action.
That's a very important point you're making. But to the larger question then, Lieutenant General Hasnain, that what are the actual options now on the table for India? We know that diplomatically India is doing a lot. But yesterday, Lieutenant General Huda was on our show and he said that, given the situation that we're in, a military strike is the only option. Would you agree?
Frankly, I have been observing what the Prime Minister has been saying, and in the last 24 hours, the Prime Minister has mentioned 3 times the promise of retaliation and retribution. I think that sufficiently sends home a message. And this is election time. We don't have time on our hands. Obviously, the political environment is such, and the public pressure through social media is very, very intense. I suspect we do not have too many options. The diplomatic option, I do not think, is only a shaping of the environment and nothing else. The military options are very much there, and there's a range of military options. There's a range of military options which I'm sure the Indian Armed Forces are looking at very seriously.
Okay, and since you're somebody finally who's served in this area, do you think that this goes beyond just shaping our foreign policy, but also, of course, a domestic Kashmir issue which needs to be resolved internally by the security apparatus as well as the political class?
That's a very large question to answer. Yes, we have a lot to do in Kashmir. The fact that we have killed 253 terrorists in the year, and almost 260, 270 terrorists have been created through 2018, does not speak very highly of our overall security management. While the robust approach has paid off in terms of the terrorist skills, the balancing soft approach, which should have prevented the recruitment of so many as 180 young men from South Kashmir, that has obviously not taken shape at all. So there is something wrong here. We need to re-examine this entire thing. The most important thing I still feel is that in a problem as intense as Jammu and Kashmir, unless you have political consensus at the center, which thankfully in this situation has emerged,
yes,
and political consensus in Jammu and Kashmir, in the state of Jammu and Kashmir, where a very vitiated political environment exists,
yes,
unless you have this, I don't think we can get the better of the internal situation.